You can go ahead, Niket.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Srimatam Svagata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Tadyantasto Hi Abhadrani Vidunoti Vritsatam Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Everyone, so today we're going to be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 28. So Mataji, today's verses are 31 to 34, right? That's what I'm seeing on the schedule. Or is it different?
Gopal Prabhu, what did you finally decide?
These two, 35, 36, Niket.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What did you
That's
prepare
fine.
for?
No, I looked at your pinned verses and it says, I guess there's two pinned verses. Yeah, I prepared for 31 to 34, but that's fine. You can still go ahead. I can speak some. Okay. So we'll be reading texts 35 and 36. Tatra Chandravasa Nama Tamra Parnivatodaka Tat Punya Shalile Nityam Ubhayantrat Manomejan Kanda Stibil Mula Pale Pushpa Parne Trinodakhe Vartamana Sane Gatra Karshanam Tapastita. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. In the province of Kulachala, there were rivers named Chandravasa, Tamraparni, and Vatodaka. King Malayadwaja used to go to these pious rivers regularly and take his bath there. Thus he purified himself externally and internally. He took his bath and ate bulbs, seeds, leaves, flowers, roots, fruits, and grasses, and drank water. In this way he underwent severe austerities. Eventually he became very skinny. Purport. We can definitely see that to advance in Krishna consciousness, one must control his bodily weight. If one becomes too fat, it is to be assumed that he is not advancing spiritually. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur severely criticized his fat disciples. The idea is that one who intends to advance in Krishna consciousness must not eat very much. Devotees used to go to forests, high hills, or mountains on pilgrimages, but such severe austerities are not possible these days. One should instead eat only prasad and no more than required. According to the Vaishnava calendar, there are many fasts such as Ekadashi and the appearance and disappearance days of God and his devotees. All of these are meant to decrease the fat within the body so that one will not sleep more than the desired and will not become inactive and lazy. Overindulgence in food will cause man to sleep more than required. This human form of life is meant for austerity, and austerity means controlling sex, food intake, etc. In this way, time can be saved for spiritual activity, and one can purify himself both externally and internally. Thus, both body and mind can be cleansed. Namo Vishnu Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prasarine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshtarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Krishna, everyone, I'd like to seek the blessings of all the assembled devotees here so that I'm able to present and speak about the verses in a way that's proper and is able to uh, be an opportunity for me to purify myself as well as serve the devotees in the best way that I can. So I'll go ahead and get started. So here we're seeing that the king is performing certain austerities, and it's mentioned that he's regularly bathing in different purifying rivers, and he's living simply, and he's sustaining himself on only natural foods. It says that he's eating bulbs, seeds, leaves, flowers, roots, fruits, and says grasses and drinking water. So these are pretty severe austerities. If we see today, we go to places like Costco where we can immediately get whatever types of processed foods that we want in bulk. And it was also mentioned that because of these austerities, it's gradually becoming very thin. So this means that externally, um, he's purifying his body by bathing in these sacred waters and by eating minimally. But internally, this also has an effect. So we all know that the different practices that we do as a devotee, like external practices such as rising early or bathing in cold water, like restrictively eating, all of these are external processes. And if one does not keep Krishna at the center or internally transform, then this may just seem like you're doing it for, your own selfish motives, right? As if you are a uh, Ashtanga yogi. But that is not, we know that that's not actually the true purpose. So externally, when we do these things, what if we keep Krishna in the center internally, it will also purify our mind through this renunciation and self-control, and it'll give more power to our bhakti. So when we do both the external and internal, this is the way that um, we can cultivate spiritual discipline and please Krishna, and that can become our main goal by doing all these things. So the essence is that we have to actually have some austerity and have some discipline for the purpose of pleasing Krishna. And if we want true spiritual advancement, we have to show some restraint and discipline, not complete indulgence. And Prabhupada is clearly mentioning that overeating and laziness are obstacles in devotional life. And he's mentioned that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati also did not agree with his or rebuked his disciples who would become overweight because it would reflect a lack of restraint. So in modern times, like today, we can practice this by eating only prasad, which is food offered to Krishna, and we can follow fasting days like Ekadashi and just on this past day, on special days like Prabhupada's disappearance day, we do a midday fast on different um, occasions such as appearance days, disappearance days, and third most we can avoid overeating and oversleeping. So this is something which we can also strive to get better at, especially myself. So Yeah, so taking a look here, it seems that, there is a clear, like Krishna consciousness isn't just any other religion, right? It's a way of life. That's what has been said time and time again. And if we actually, it's not only about what we do only externally or only internally, but both. And we see the power of prasad doesn't only come to the person who eats it, but also the people that we give it to. When Srila Prabhupada uh, came to the West, he was all by himself in that tiny little shop, uh, cooking for whichever devotees came, whether there were 10 devotees or 50 devotees, he would cook all by himself. And just by the simple chanting and distribution of prasad, and the prasad was also simple because it was only, one elderly man cooking for this many people, right? It has such a great effect on people, through Guru and Krishna's mercy. And when that food is offered, it's not any ordinary food anymore. It's prasadam. And on top of that, we only eat sattvic food, right? So this sattvic food, which is made in the right mood without onion and garlic, it even has the power to transform our consciousness, give us a clearer mind. And there's been so many studies being done on this. So everything that's being mentioned here in this purport, it's actually scientific. It's a scientific way of life that's unfortunately been lost to time. But Prabhupada is here giving us this information once again and passing it down through the Guru Parampara so that we are able to advance in our spiritual lives. So if we want to look at more examples of austerity in a for the purpose of pleasing Krishna, eventually we can see the story of Dhruva Maharaj as well, right? So his story can also reflect people who think that, only doing a certain tapasya or yoga is the means to achieve full, full happiness. So when 5-year-old Dhruva Maharaj was insulted by his stepmother, and his stepmother, told him that he's not allowed to sit on his father's lap, he went to the forest and he was determined, to see the Lord himself based on what his mother told him, right? And on his way, he met Narad Muni. And Narad Muni, uh, he advised um, Dhruva Maharaj certain practices, right? That you have to go through these austerities, control your mind, your senses. You have to chant. Um, you have to chant the Lord's name, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, if you want to really attain the Supreme. And Dhruva's purpose at this point in time, when he was performing this lila, was was only to to meet uh to meet Lord Vishnu so that he could receive what he wanted. So it's said for the first month, um he uh slowly, he more and more decreased what he needed to to stay alive, right? Like first he would only eat, then he stopped eating, then he slowly breathed slower and slower. And it's mentioned that at a certain point, in order to control his breath, he took such a big breath that all the devatas couldn't breathe, right? And they were choking up because Dhruva Maharaj was performing such sincere austerity. And finally, Lord Narayan appears before him, and Dhruva Maharaj finally realizes that it's not all this austerity that he did. Even after it, he didn't want to just take any benediction from Lord Vishnu. He actually wanted to fully surrender himself and please him. So in this way, we can see that the purpose of these austerities of of this lifestyle is not shouldn't be for our benefit, but it should be for Krishna's benefit. And if we go in, with this mindset, that's how we can actually get the full effect of this this high thinking, simple living concept that Prabhupada and the Acharyas have propagated. So yeah, just to wrap it up in a short sentence, uh, through self-control, through simplicity, through remembering the Lord, keeping Him at the center, that's how we can become inwardly transformed in order to connect with Krishna, improve, and serve Him better. Whether it's chanting, preaching, with these disciplines, it'll help us progress. And if we ever need guidance on how to do that, we can always associate with devotees. And even reading, Srimad Bhagavatam, even though Prabhupada has mentioned it in so many books, by the way, the Nectar Instruction in different books, we see that all these practical things, every few purports, even in the Bhagavatam, he is mentioning. He's always connecting back to the present. He's always connecting back to how a devotee should conduct themselves. And he's always reminding us of what to do. Even though there's thousands of verses here, he's still taking that time. So we should really see the importance of every verse we read, what we can take out of it, and how we can change how we live based on what we read. So that being said, I again seek all the blessings from the Vaishnavas here, and please forgive me if I made